Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West, TrackStat, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 450 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Liz Morin. And if you want to hear the story about how to create your ideal client and focusing on family first, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode. Me too. So excited. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast, episode 450. We just keep on rolling them out there. Today I have Dr. Liz Morin coming in from Key West. We'll talk a little bit about Florida, but there's a lot that we're going to discuss about her chiropractic story and where she is today, some of the things that inspire her, and the message of chiropractic for everybody that needs it. But before we do that, the big why behind our show, which I'll just be very brief but very impactful. We protect freedom of speech with Chiro Hustle. We become known for that because we definitely let people discuss what they need to get across on the interview. And I don't know why I mentioned this, but I was asked a couple of days ago, like, how frequently do you not release an episode? Out of the 1,100 interviews that we've done, I've released every single one of them, except for if there's an audio issue.
Right. But
like, I've never censored anyone. And I think that that's really honest about what we do here is we allow people to be heard. And, Peter McCullough, he got us like 3 strikes on YouTube once. And there's been some people that Del Bigtree that have like made us get less popular. If you believe that, we interview somebody like Del Bigtree and we get less popular because of the censor out there. So that's why we do what we do for freedom of speech with our show. And we do protect the sacred trust. It's so important. People that don't know chiropractic have no idea what this is. I didn't know what it was until like 10 years into being into the profession, but it's BJ Palmer's last words. And if you guys don't know what that is, go do a Google search or whatever favorite search engine you have and find out what BJ Palmer's sacred trust is. And then you would understand chiropractic at a whole different philosophical level. And then we do believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't understand that word and why it's significant to the profession. But once again, go find it, figure it out, and keep following Chiro Hustle, by the way, because we interview so many people about important topics when it comes to chiropractic. Then lastly, before we get into Dr. Liz's story, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence, that when somebody gets adjusted, it connects them physical to spiritual, which is kind of some woo-woo stuff. But when somebody's subluxated physically, chemically, or emotionally, and they start getting regular chiropractic adjustments, they'll realize that they're better connected.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Liz, welcome.
Thank you. I'm pumped to be here. I'm going to purposely slow down my speech because I speak very fast because I'm from New England. So I'm going to slow down so you can actually understand what I'm saying. Good?
Nice. I think I will too a little bit. But your story, this is a chance for your friends, your family, your colleagues, the future chiropractors, to hear your story. So how did you get into the profession, and just what makes you unique a little bit?
All right, cool. I'm definitely unique because I wear my heart on my sleeve and I really don't have a filter. So that can get me in trouble, but it also can bring me the people who need me and need my message and my energy and what I'm trying to tell. But my story is that, I never really understood chiropractic. I thought it was about backs. We had a couple in my town growing up, and I'm like, oh, I'll never need to go there. But in college, around age 19, I think it was my sophomore year going into my junior, I just blindly followed the masses and got a couple of SHOTSs in one evening. And then I went to dinner and it was like no big deal. I just listened to the school. And I regret it because within 4 weeks or so, I completely lost my health. I lost a lot of weight. I couldn't eat. I had no appetite. I missed a lot of classes. I was tested for various things because I eventually went to the ER with excruciating neck pain and a high fever. And I didn't realize until 2020 when a lot of things came around that I was V injured. So, and that my body was like on fire. After being in the ER, I made it through and I kept trucking along, just trying to change my diet because I still didn't really get it. And then we had a career fair and I was going to present on the topic originally of like exercise physiology, because that is my major was exercise physiology. I love working out. I love exercise and what it does for you. I still do. But at this career fair, I sat at the same table as the local chiropractor and I'm like 19 and I know everything. And I'm sassier then than I am now. And this guy looks me in the face and he goes, "You're sick." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm 19, I'm fine." And I wasn't hungover, I swear. I went to lots of frat parties and stuff, but whatever. And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't need a chiropractor." And he goes, "Were you a C-section?" I'm like, "What is this man talking about?" And we start talking and I'm like, "Yeah, I was a C-section." He goes, "You got bags under your eyes." He's like, "You getting headaches?" I'm like, "I have headaches so bad that I have actually thought about offing myself because I've been to 3 doctors and all they want to do is give me more medication." And one doctor even suggested giving me sinus surgery to widen my sinuses. Ain't that some bullshit? And he goes, "I want to look at you. I want to take x-rays of your neck." I'm like, honestly, at this point, I missed so many classes. I was just like getting by. And at 19 years old, to tank and rock bottom on your health at 19, that's not how it's supposed to go. So I started shadowing him and getting adjusted, and my whole entire life changed. It was like the lights went on that first upper cervical adjustment, and I've never had a true migraine again. Sinus problems here and there, depends on my diet and like the weather changes, but it changed my life. But like rock bottom at 19. But I started cleaning up other things in my life, and but I didn't realize that the cascading events of getting 2 shots in one day completely tanked my immune system. And I already had a weak immune system from being seriously subluxated at birth as a C-section because of the forces of being pulled out by an incision rather than by a vaginal birth. And followed by the fact that when you're C-section, you don't get an immune system because you're taken out before the true process of birth where the flora comes from. So I work with a lot of pregnant women, so I know a lot about that. But yeah, changed my life. That's my story. So around that same week, I went to the college and I said, I have to double major. I need to get pre-med requisites so I can go to a chiropractic school. They were like, "You're not going to have a life." I'm like, "That's okay." So a lot of classes later, I took off 1 year off in between undergrad and chiropractic school and got through chiropractic school. And I'm now in Key West, living my life and loving my family and helping people change their lives best I can every day.
So let's tell people, how the heck did you pick Palmer, Florida?
Well, I wasn't going to go to Iowa where there's snow growing up in Connecticut, right? My family, my father particularly, was trying to keep me in the New England area. Like we were looking at a New York chiropractic college and I was like, "Nope, no snow. I'm going to leave everybody by." And I packed up and left.
And you fell in love with Florida and decided to stay.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Like you can get home after a long day and it's still breezy and warm out. There's no chance of snow. I saw snow one time in Daytona and it melted on my windshield. That was it. So, and then I just came as far south as I could without leaving the country.
Yeah, because you said like the next place over is Cuba.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool. Off camera, we were talking about how you were able to grow and build your practice. What was like the first couple of years of practice like for you?
Oh my God, such a struggle. I wish I had podcasts like this when I was younger. I wish I had some of the books I've read and just knowing that I can ask for help. Like you don't need to duplicate the process. There's success leaves clues. I did everything on my own. I was too stubborn to ask for help. I was too stubborn to hire the lawyer to look at the contract. I got screwed over by multiple employers, but that's okay. I grew. Everything I've done organically on my own without any help. But there were some books and organizations that I got with that helped my business to grow because I was able to target my audience and who I really want to see,
Yeah.
who I want to
So,
serve.
so how many years of stubbornness until you actually caught fire?
Oh my God, I think it was like 4 or 5. I mean, I was calling my father crying, like, I can't pay my rent. Like, this is awful. What am I going to do? I've left the keys 3 times and come back 3 times. And I'm finally really settled with my home and my business, but rough beginning. Ask for help, get the lawyer, spend the money. I guess. Oh man. Yeah, really rough.
So let's talk marketing, how you really dialed it in, and maybe some strategies that people that are watching this can take away.
Let's see. Well, like we were talking about before, I mean, I'm not promoting anything, but I joined a group called the Black Diamond Club with Dr. Dill and Dr. Book, and they're a power couple. And boy, have they grown too. But by utilizing some of their inside classes and courses, and those were investments. I had to invest, and that was scary when I was young and very broke. But each year, my practice has tripled in terms of people and income. So it's when you finally figure out how you want to do it, and you're stubborn as heck, and you put your mind to it, you can do it. There's going to be struggles. We had a big hurricane. I had to close for a long time. People moved away. People had to leave because their houses were destroyed. So there was a month we were closed, but I still put my head down and served the community, oftentimes for free because they had no money or home. And I never questioned it. That's a DE principle there too. I gave to them with expecting nothing in return. I just wanted to give the gift of chiropractic and take the stress off their souls and bodies because Irma was a bitch. Pardon my language.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how you did this with no advertising.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times chiros are like, oh, you have to do this and you got to do that and you got to do this. Like, because I love screenings. I think that it's the best way to connect with your local community. I also think that digital marketing is important too, but it's really, to me, it's really cool. And I hear a doc say that they've made it and they've done it without doing that type of work.
It's funny because you're the screening king and I've never done it. Well, I've never done the screening that I enjoyed because I was an employee when I did them. So maybe we should talk. But I think because we're in the age of social media and Facebook has been a curse and a blessing. But in terms of business, Facebook has been an absolute flipping blessing because of word of mouth. I was raised with a theory, especially from my dad, that like word of mouth, like my father never really advertised either. And he was a very successful contractor, and so in my mind, I'm like, word of mouth, do things right and it'll come back to you. But I'm going to say Facebook and social media and just simple testimonials from people. I would ask for them. At first I was scared too. And I was young. And I'm like, hey, you're pregnant now. Or, hey, you're able to golf again. Or, hey, your kid can poop. Let's talk to our friends about that. Okay. This chiropractic can do all those things for you when you locate subluxation. So I'm going to say social media is probably what grew me. And then I would occasionally play with those paid ads. And we still have a couple cute local publications here in the Keys. And I say cute because who reads papers anymore? I do. I'm very old fashioned, and I did invest in a couple of them and not even a lot of money, just a great ad. And the ads were typically testimonial type or educational type. And sometimes they went off like wildfire. People are bringing me their kids. So
But it wasn't only that, Dr. Liz. You said that you really got clear on who you wouldn't take care of, kind of, and what you really wanted to follow your path of care. And you're like, if somebody's not here longer than 2 weeks, we yeah.
I can only imagine how much of a mess this would be. I would be filthy freaking rich, and we'd be in that house on the water if I did see tourists. If I saw everyone who called or stopped in or knocked on the door or just walked in, it'd be lit. It'd be great. But I wouldn't be serving my community that I want. I decided from very early on that I only wanted to see locals. And I would see a visitor if they are like a snowbird and they're here for a long extended period of time. And then if someone calls and says that they're here for a few days, we say, we're really sorry. And we literally give out, we give other chiropractors in this town so much flipping business because I don't see tourists. We say 2 weeks or more since I am corrective in nature and I do x-rays and I do scans and I do a thorough process. There's no such thing as a walk-in here. I'm sorry. I know some doctors love that. Great. Love it. I don't want to see it. I don't do PIP. I don't do insurance. I'm like a unicorn. Like my manager calls me a unicorn and I'm going to go with it because it's working. It is working.
So I think that's really cool is you got really clear on what you wanted to do and it just started doubling, tripling. And now you're really, finding your stride with practice.
Yeah, I really am. And I've been putting feelers out for an associate or even someone who just wants to come live in paradise and work less. But people find out about cost of living and they get scared and they don't call me back, or they say, sorry, I can't live there because it's pretty astronomical.
So talk to somebody, like if they're curious about coming down there to Key West and working with you. What are you looking for?
I need someone who's teachable because the systems we have here are working right now. And we have what I think it's a 95% retention rate for our care plans. Most people don't drop off unless something terrible happens, like a hurricane or something like that. I do have some systems to tighten up, so I'm open to suggestion as well. But I need someone who's teachable, who is stern in their passion for chiropractic, and willing to just learn how we do our systems here in terms of technique, X-ray analysis, and marketing, I guess you could say. I would love a young doctor who loves chiropractic and wants to serve and just doesn't know where to start. I want like this younger version of me without the manipulation and abuse that I went through.
So anybody out there that's curious about growing and joining a team, Key West, Florida, reach out to Dr. Liz and see if you guys could have some synergy to move forward, and you might find your dream associate or your dream partner through chirohustle.
Right, pediatric experience, very much, hopefully, and of course Webster technique and all that stuff.
So you're really interested in taking care of locals and families.
That's it. Nobody else. Not interested.
So if you're interested in taking care of a local community and families, reach out to Dr. Liz.
Yeah.
So your personal health, you said that you went through some challenges. Your seems like your energy levels are high. You're managing your health really well. What are you doing, and what are your secrets?
I got a few. I get adjusted every week or checked every week. Sometimes I don't need to be adjusted. It's only happened like once or twice because, hey, stress. I drink a gallon of water a day. Typically, I work out most days of the week. Make sure I sweat, even if it's just a walk. As long as I sweat, I feel good. I make sure I do my best with my diet. I do love a glass of wine. But the other thing lately is because of the things with the V injury, meaning you need to help fix your liver. I'm all about anything that's aiding in detoxification. So again, that's sweating. I just got out of my infrared sauna right before I got on with you. I might be in a towel underneath here. We don't know, but I just got out of my infrared sauna. That is like, wow, game changer there. And I have it at my office here because it's just too big for my house, but I also want my patients to be able to use it if they want to. But we make sure they know it's not part of the chiropractic office. Cause like I told you, I am a straight chiropractor. We do nothing but adjustments here.
So tell me about, I mean, I'm always curious about like infrared saunas. Which ones do you have?
I have a Sunlighten because it had the most research out of all of them. And it was backed by multiple other doctors and also many influencers that I follow. And I love the research on heart health, metabolic health, detoxification, especially because I'm seeing so many vaccine injured adults and children. And I'm not just talking about the COVID vaccine. I want to help serve them too. So in addition to adjustments, I'm about to roll out programs where they can use the sauna, buy certain supplements, take Epsom baths at home, be adjusted, and I can hopefully help them save themselves because that's what it took for me.
So a natural protocol to getting healthy plus the chiropractic adjustment.
Yep.
That's
working on it.
Well, all the interviews that I've done today, I realize that there's more toxicity in a person's body than ever before.
Yeah.
On a cellular level. And they're just out of balance.
We're all in fight or flight too, because just the world around us, right? So when I'm here at work and I tell people, this is our kingdom, this is a magical place. We don't talk about that here. I don't care what you say when you leave here, but let's just get you well. Like what you watch, what you listen to really affects your health too. And I think people are finally seeing that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they call it programming.
Yes, sir. And like, I'm a big advocate for telling the damn truth. In fact, that's my biography in my Facebook profile. It says, tell the truth, period. And I told the truth in 2020 and I got attacked pretty brutally by a lot of local people, including other doctors. But guess what? My practice tripled again. And now I have a humongous office to serve more people who want the truth.
Yeah, that was a big, that was a big turning point for a lot of people because those that stood their ground, we're starting to see quickly now how much information is coming out that narrative was really harmful to people,
especially the children. Yeah, and that's where my heart's at. So, yeah.
And sounds like you love the local community. Are there any ways that you stay connected to your local community? I know you said earlier that when things were really tough down there, you were giving care.
Yeah. I stay connected with the community because I share success stories a lot on all over Facebook and the internet. So there's various business pages, and this is an island community. So you need to know and trust somebody before you work with them, of course. So I often share success stories or just things going on here on various business pages. And I say, hey, I'm not trying to bring people in. I just want to educate you that your kid can get better from asthma or allergies if they see a chiropractor. It doesn't have to be me. Bring them to the chiropractor though. That's a big way. I in the beginning of my career, I was part of all the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Guild, the Rotary Club, and I used those face-to-face interactions and just meeting people because I knew from the principles of other organizations I used for education that people have to know and trust you before they hire you. People don't just come down the highway and see the word chiropractor and go, gotta go there. It's dumb. And I want to take these doctors that just have the word chiropractor on their office and be like, you could be doing better. Let them know you and have a name. Mm-hmm. It's like saying bank instead of Wells Fargo or something. Have a flavor. I don't know. I don't even know what direction that just went in, but that's my ADHD. So you're welcome.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West, TrackStat, and MSculpt. Let's hustle. Well, I think it's important because I tell people to be social and social, but I also tell them to show up to local events. Or like me, you'll see me at different chiropractic events.
Yeah.
Because those are my people.
Yeah, it was so great to see you recently in Atlanta. It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think it's important to show up to places and to build your community. So whether that's local, I just found that my scale is global. And there's different pockets of chiropractic influence. One of them being DE. I was just there. It's where I saw you. Yeah. But places I told you that you should show up, Mile High. But there's so many great events out there, like Billy D's Cal Jam. Mm-hmm. And Paul Reed's Chiro Fest and Tim Young and Tim Young's Focus Oklahoma.
We met at Chiro Fest.
Yeah, I know.
First time on the West Coast, man. That was a long trip from Key West.
Yeah, we were in what was it? Victoria? Was it Victoria, Washington?
Something like that.
Vancouver, Washington.
Vancouver, yes. Washington. I was very confused because of the name of the town.
Yeah, Vancouver, Washington.
Yep.
And it's not Vancouver, the place in Canada.
No. Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever have a global reach, but if I do, it's probably because of my bad jokes, not chiropractic. One of my gifts.
But back to your local thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to show up to local, the people, the movers and shakers, the business owners.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And know who your niche market is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only where you should show up and be of service to people, but know who the heck you want in your office. Be clear.
Right. And I tell a lot of times when I see a local business owner who happens to be a female and happens to be a mom, I'm like, you are my favorite because I want to help empower you to remember that you are powerful. You are not this diagnosis that you were given. And chiropractic can make you amazing and make you be a better mom, a better business owner, better entrepreneur. So I think that's my niche is a mom, female business owner maybe. And then of course for kids, but I see the dads too. And I see a lot of people, but I really focus on families and children and pregnant women. And it's great.
Well, I think we're going to talk about miracle stories here in a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you probably experienced some where people weren't having kids and then they start getting adjusted and then they got another kid probably, but
yes, got a few.
Before we do that though, like DE, you said you've gone to a few of those.
Yeah.
How did you like actually find out who like inspired you? Like how did you pick your who are like some of your heroes or some people that like really inspired you to become the chiropractor you are today?
That's a good question. I would not have even really known about DE if it wasn't for the fact that I was thrown out of the Keys due to a non-compete contract, and I stayed some time in Palm Beach and tried to open my first business there and failed miserably because people were leaving Key West to come see me in Palm Beach and drive 4 hours, even though I begged them to go to this other doctor who was just as good as me. I got on a tangent again. I don't remember the question. Hang on a second. Let me go back. Influences. So because I lived in Palm Beach for a little while, I got to spend time with Dr. Matlock, Eddie Martinez, a lot of DE doctors. Because of that, I went to my first DE. I got to meet Steve Judson, Wake Up Humans. Awesome stuff there. Really, I've always loved his style and his delivery on education for his patients. I think I might emulate his style and delivery a little bit on education. And it's made work so much more fun. So I really appreciate how Dr. Judson practices. DE, I mean, everyone inspires me in there. I don't really want to be like a volume type doctor. I just want to have fun and not break my body down in the process.
Well, I use a term for people, and if they listen to my show long enough, they know that I've talked about a mindful volume practice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to be high volume and be like the guys that are like barking from the stage, like, see this many or you're not a chiropractor.
Yeah, that's just whatever. But I forgot Billy DeMoss. I mean, I used to watch his videos when I was first starting out, and when I used to cry myself to sleep for what I have now, literally. I used to see that big room he has where he does talks and people get together, and I have all that now. I'm like, why don't I accept this greatness? Like, I've really grown up, and it's really fun. So I think that I love the style and the grit of Billy D. I love the delivery and education of Dr. Judson. And and they're still alive and well. And I've, of course, met them both, and they were cool enough to spend time with me and talk with me too in the past. So
that's awesome. And that's really cool that you got dialed in with Lucas and Eddie. And
Lucas made me go to DE. So I appreciate Dr. Matlock for that. He gave me a room to rent in his office when I was starting out in Palm Beach.
And it's really cool when people actually do give a helping hand.
Yeah.
And they expect nothing back in return, which is the principles of DE, which I really appreciated. When I was there, I took like 9 pages of notes, and I actually attended the event, and I didn't like do interviews in the hallways. I didn't have a vendor booth.
I noticed. Yeah.
I actually showed up and participated and watched all the speakers. And I think that there's something to be said about that too, is about being the student sometimes. And I felt like there was a lot of like really important like relationship equity that I built down there.
Big time.
And I look forward to doing more with that group too, because I think that when it comes down to it, the philosophy is something that needs to be supported like long term. It has to be a part of this profession until like the last chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's rewind and go to that question. Where's the profession going? Where do you want to see it go, and where is it going?
Well, I know there's some doom and gloom and naysayers out there, but you know what? They're obviously not principled. Yeah, let's just say that. I'm a forever optimist. Hell, we just had a flipping hurricane come through here, and I lost my Christmas tree in a flood in my garage. And I even said, yeah, I get to get the white Christmas tree I've always wanted. And it's waiting for me. It just got delivered yesterday. Pumped. And since all the leaves are gone, or they're brown now instead of lush tropical leaves, it looks like we have foliage or fall. So I said to my patients all week, look at this. We have autumn. So on that note, forever optimist.
It looks like I lost Liz being a forever optimist. Let me see if she is able to come back onto the link. But when she is coming back, I'm excited to ask her miracle story because I think that she's got a really good one. And maybe I have it. Maybe she is experiencing hurricane stuff right now, but let's see if she can come back on. Bear with me. Let me send her a message. And if not, we'll call it an episode in about 1 minute if I don't hear back from her. There she is.
Sorry, I don't know what I just. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what I did.
You got so excited that you hit the off button.
I hit something.
So we're we were talking about where you saw the profession going,
Yes,
and you're an eternal optimist.
I am. I do. I think that like even if this isn't recorded for everybody else, that's okay. But I hit something. I think that we're gonna be it. Honestly, I'm so seeing an awakening of people all over the world that they are powerful. They're powerful. They're independent. They do not need to run to the drugstore for everything. And all I need to do is empower everyone who walks into this office every time, and then encourage them to empower their family and their friends. And if enough people see that and then see this agenda that's going on, that we are all just completely dependent on big pharma and we're nothing without it, and they see the truth, which I think is happening rapidly. We're not seeing it on the media, but it's happening rapidly. I think that we're going to be more of a go-to rather than a third choice or last option.
Well,
I really genuinely feel that in my heart.
14 years ago, I did not work in chiropractic. Okay. I was 30 years old. 14 years ago, there was a doctor named Matt Walker who was working at a piano bar, doing ID checks and taking money as a doorman. And I was a bartender. And 14 years ago, he said, "Hey, man, do you want to come work at my chiropractic office?" And I said, "Hey, man, I don't know anything about chiropractic other than the fact when I get adjusted, I feel better." And I think that there needs to be a huge line of advocacy like that for people. We need the next James Chesters in the world. We need people out there that have a passion for this profession, that are willing to go and promote it and to feature it and to love it and nurture it and to promote it. And I think that if the profession is going to do what it's supposed to do, then it's going to be done by a tribe of human beings that are passionate about this profession. And it's going to be people that demand the solution for their family's health. And they do want to feel good. And they have been down the line of all these other things. You know, I was talking to my friend earlier. I showed them this meme. You know, we speak in memes now in 2023, 2022. And we show people like how we feel through like a quote card, or we communicate with them through like somebody else's quote, and we send it to them in a little message or something funny. You know, we communicate with people through like a funny thing. But one of them was these guys were all lined up, working class guys, 9-to-5ers, like labor guys. And I'm dealing with like a little bit of a sore back today. I got like an 8th rib out and it sucks. But I was like, if I follow the regular medical model and I went and saw like a regular doc, they might give me something that I never get off of.
Yeah.
And that's a tragedy. And that's like happens. It happens a lot when people get the oxycodone or they get like whatever Oxycontin. I don't even know how the hell to say this stuff.
I don't either.
But they get these things. Or they get like a painkiller, and it just takes one. Yeah. And they're never back to their old vibrant self. All because of a low back pain, a rib out, a neck pain, a headache. And I think that we just need more advocacy, to be honest. And we need more people out there willing to tell this chiropractic story.
Yes, we need more gyms. We need more Jim Chesters. I mean, you've done so much, and it's incredible that this is a podcast I listen to while I get ready for my office in the morning, and now I get to be on it. So I feel really, really happy and blessed. And your voice is very soothing. Like you should read children's books or something. You know?
Maybe really, have a future as a children's books.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Well, let's get to these miracle stories, because I know that working with moms, you've probably seen some pregos and you've probably seen some pregnancies, and let's share with our audience some things that you've seen over the past couple of years.
I'm actually going to share something we see all kinds of infertile women getting fertile, getting pregnant, a lot of children who can't go to the bathroom, going to the bathroom, you know, using Webster technique and balancing a woman's pelvis and spine. and ligaments, doing the Webster technique. The baby flips so they can have the vaginal delivery that they want and avoid a C-section, which is dangerous to the baby and the mom in all reality. But I'm actually going to give a quick adult miracle story that's pretty profound. A friend of mine who never saw me in the past, but needed me because her jaw was off. And I saw her, worked on her jaw a little bit, x-rayed her, and worked on her atlas, most important bone in the whole body. And I adjusted her atlas toggle. This woman was in her 50s, early 50s, and had hearing loss in her ear on one side for like 15-ish years. Her jaw felt better. She left. I followed up a few days later. Jaw's great. 7 days later, she's walking down our famous Duval Street, which is loud as hell, like bars everywhere, people running around. Sometimes they're half naked. Point is, she hears like a crackle in her ear, the one that doesn't work. And then her hearing came back. And she immediately texted me. Like, it was just beautiful. I'm like, wow. I mean, like, the original chiropractic story is about hearing, Chiropractors are great at pain. We're great at spine and back stuff, people, but we're not for that. Chiropractic is for function and life and expression of your actual function and life as a human being, God, source, all of it, whatever you believe in. It's meant for real life and health. But yes, we're known for back pain because I guess we're better than taking a pill, but that's not what I do here. But she lets me know her hearing's restored. And as far as I know, she still has much more normal hearing on that side. It's not a hearing loss anymore. And of course her jaw's great too. So that's really neat. But if I have time for just another quick one for like an educational purpose.
Yeah. I just want to tell people, like, a spinal distortion can sometimes twist the atlas to a point where it clenches up the eardrum and the eustachian tube gets impinged and it doesn't drain. And that's why, like, a lot of babies, when they're developmental, they get ear infections because their atlas isn't set. And it sits on that nerve and those nerve bundles that are up there in the occiput region, and it rocks over to a certain degree and puts pressure on one side, and it doesn't drain, and there's no flow. And I think that's what that woman experienced, and it was probably a subluxation that was entrenched in her for decades.
Yeah, we discovered that it certainly was.
Yeah, and then you clear that subluxation. And I was having this conversation earlier. I'm like, sometimes when you get adjusted, it doesn't feel good. Like, because you're so jammed up and so locked up for such a long time that there's never been maintenance to that segment. And all of a sudden you get like the atlas adjustment and it creates a big shift in you.
Yeah, it's so cool. I'm so humbled by it. You explain that better than most chiropractors, by the way.
Well, I've had a lot of time to talk to chiropractors, like you guys are my people. And I think about like functionality versus the adjustment. And a lot of times people don't understand, like, the functionality adjustment isn't to just make a pop or an audible. It's about taking that misalignment, redirecting it into like a more positive direction and seeing what happens.
Yeah, it's so cool. And you never know what happens. Sometimes people get sick and then they get really well. So it's an interesting profession to be in.
But, I remember Jim McMahon, a famous quarterback for the '85 Bears, and he was having dementia type patterns, and he got an upper cervical adjustment, and his cerebral spinal fluid started to flow again.
Yeah.
And he said it felt like somebody just flushed the toilet.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. So cool.
Yeah. So hearing's coming back, and let's hear the scientific chat. You said there's another story.
I got a quickie miracle story, and I mean, I don't really know if it's a miracle in the books, but it was actually my mother. And when my mother was dying, she had been like comatose for like a good 36 hours, we think. And I said, what do I know how to do? And I said, I know how to clear an atlas. So she hadn't talked to anyone in about a day and a half. She hadn't moved. She'd been, we thought at this point, in a coma. And I went behind her, propped her up, palpated her atlas. It was extremely subluxated. I used an activator and tapped it into alignment, or so I hoped. I mean, she was flaccid. And a few minutes later, she literally shot up, sat up, looked around the room bewildered, and asked us why we were all there. And it was my family. It was my grandmother. It was two different priests who'd given her last rites. We were all just waiting for her to go. And we thought, I mean, people were probably like, what the hell is Liz doing? But I took that little insecurity and did it anyway, because I was like, this will give me peace to like check her one more time. And she shot up, made us laugh our asses off one more time. I don't know what the adjustment did to her. I have no idea. But she sat up, looked around the room, and we said, Mom, we're waiting for you to go. Like, do your thing. You're good. And then she kind of laid back down, and she died the next day. But I think it's really beautiful, because if you can do that with someone who's in a coma, who's already been given their morphine and given last rites, what can it do for your kid who needs to poop or can't, and sciatica, not exciting. So I've told that story enough times now that I'm no longer crying when I tell it, but it was beautiful because she has a very funny personality, and that's where I get mine from, I think. And she did it one last time, made us all just go, oh, Mom, like, that's awesome. Like, so to hear her voice one more time, it was pretty cool.
Well, Dr. Liz, it's been a really amazing interview with you today. Thank you for sharing your chiropractic story.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking about your growth. Thanks for finding the link and rejoining.
Yeah.
I know we're about 10 minutes over our time, which is okay with me, but is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think we should share with our audience today before we call it a night?
I really don't think so. I mean, to ask who my like chiropractic hero is, like a legit hero, it would be Sid, Dr. Sid Williams, because he opened Life University in such adversity. People were throwing stones at him, and he was being attacked, and he still opened one of the best chiropractic schools in the world. And I did not even go to that school, but he would be my chiropractic hero if someone wanted to know.
And then lastly, if people want to follow you, learn more about you, where can we send them to?
Our office Facebook page is very active with education and just local stuff going on. We support like everything local. And that's facebook.com/ExcelChiroKW. So Excel like excellent, ExcelChirokW. And also the website is excelchirokw.com. I'm not that interesting. I don't do social media that well.
It's a language. You have to speak the social media language. It's a bunch of these. It's a bunch of emojis.
Yeah, that's how you can find me, though. I'm pretty active on there. It's usually to inform people about goings on and about just success about chiropractic.
Well, Dr. Liz, thank you for being our guest today on episode 450.
Thank you. So much fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being our guest. And it's going to be more fun to see you next time I see you, because we had a chance to have you on to an episode. For
sure. Enjoy the full moon once it gets dark where you're at. It's beautiful.
I will. Let's look out the window. It is fully dark. So
thank you so much, Jim.
Yeah. I'm going to close out. Tell you guys you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a good night. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.